Welcome to our Employee Harassment Prevention Training video, and Reporting Protocol for Bluebird Employees. Welcome to our video which explains our Bluebird Incorporated policies on harassment and reporting. It's not okay.
It is expected that all employees and guests will act with integrity, comply with all laws and company policies during working hours, on-site visits at any all Bluebird locations. The company's policies are outlined in our company handbook in relation to the rules and expectation of conduct by employees. You have been provided with a copy at orientation. Please read and make certain you understand its contents, and perform accordingly. This manual has been drafted as a guideline for employees.
The company also has a code of conduct that outlines the expectations of employees. Specifically to harassment, it states, harassment and discrimination of others is not allowed or tolerated. Also, employees must maintain a professional and respectful behavior at all times.
Any Bluebird employee having knowledge of any violation of these policies shall promptly report such violation to their appropriate supervisor or human resources department. For specific details concerning any aspect of these policies, contact the Human Resources Department for clarification at 509-662-5191 or 509-548-1700.
Se habla español.
Let's start our training now. About the various forms of harassment. First, it is important that we define what is sexual harassment, how we should react and report any concerns you have if you think you have been harassed. Unwelcome sexual advances, requests for sexual favors, and other verbal or physical conduct of a sexual nature. When discussing harassment, claims are divided into two types of harassment. The elements of quid pro quo, which means, this for that, type of sexual harassment. Let us look at some of the elements that can lead to sexual harassment. Supervisor to subordinate. Request for sexual favors. Promise of benefit or threat of reprisal. Strict liability, harassment coupled with tangible employment action, which is actual change that has an actual adverse effect on the job or working conditions, such as a firing, demotion, or suspension. The second type of harassment that can be created is a hostile work environment. Sexual harassment behavior by any supervisor, co-worker, subordinate or outside third party. Conduct of a sexual nature or directed at someone because of his or her gender, severe or pervasive or unreasonably interferes with the victim's work performance. Behaviors that subjectively and objectively hostile. These are a few examples what we call term behavioral zones. They can help you identify when your words and actions are appropriate and when are becoming inappropriate. These are green zone behaviors. These are acceptable behaviors and are not considered sexual harassment if contained to business like professionalism, performance counseling, social interaction, showing concern, encouragement, polite compliment, friendly conversation. These examples would be considered yellow zone behaviors. Not acceptable behavior in the workplace. Violating personal space. Whistling at someone. Questions about personal life. Foul language. Unwanted correspondence, email, texts, calls that are not business related. These are red zone behaviors. Examples of prohibited conduct. Bluebird Incorporated has a zero tolerance of harassing behavior, so please pay close attention to this information. These are types of verbal sexual harassment. Sexual jokes, sexual or gender-specific obscene language, remarks of a sexual nature, comments about a person's body, discussions of sexual activities, and sexual innuendo. Types of visual sexual harassment. Displays of sexually suggestive pictures or publications. Sexually suggestive computer programs or emails. Written jokes of a sexual nature. Staring, ogling, leering, pin-up calendars. Suggestive touching, sitting or gesturing. These are examples of physical sexual harassment that are strictly prohibited. Unnecessary touching, grabbing, hugging, kissing, pinching, bumping, deliberately brushing against someone, physical horseplay, sitting on someone's lap, back rubs, sexual gestures, criminal conduct/sexual assault. Threats. If I think I have been harassed, how do I report it? First, respectfully but firmly tell the harasser that you want them to stop the harassing behavior. Report the behavior to the company supervisor or human resources immediately. Please write down the details of the harassment and your response. Day and time this event happened. You will be asked for those specifics in an investigation. We have provided you with our employee reporting requirements. But, who do I report to if the harassment is coming from my immediate supervisor?
In the event you find you cannot report to your supervisor, you need to immediately go to the manager of the supervisor to report this behavior. If for any reason you do not feel comfortable with the manager or they are not available, please look for the contact information for the company's Human Resources Department.
Once a complaint has been made, we will separate the complaining party and alleged harasser. Conduct a prompt, thorough and impartial investigation. To determine if any form of harassment has occurred, the company investigator will then interview complaining party, alleged harasser, and any witnesses to the specific harassment. A few important reminders about the investigative process. The company will grant the assurance of confidentiality, to the extent possible while conducting the investigation. There will be no retaliation to anyone who participates in the investigation, though providing false information or failing to be forthcoming can be the basis for corrective action. After the investigation is completed, the company will make immediate and corrective action, if it is found that harassment has occurred.
You can find the company's HR contact information in a couple of various places. The It's Not Okay and Code of Conduct posters are hanging at your work location. It is listed in the company handbook you were provided at your orientation to take home. Please look to any of these areas for the telephone numbers to the HR department. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask the trainers after this video is over or your supervisors for clarification.
Bluebird Incorporated Management and HR is committed to our policies prohibiting all forms of harassment, investigating complaints and taking prompt remedial action for any violations.